by sort of page volume. So
Yeah,
that's
we're about a quarter way through.
about a quarter of the way through. Whoever said that, that's took the words out of my mouth. I have a feeling it was
Des.
the ringing and authoritative tones of Des Moriarty.
Yep. Yep.
There we are.
Okay, geez.
And there is a space break before it.
That's what
my
I was
chapter
going
break.
to ask. That'll help.
Yeah.
Thank you. Remember my party. So carry on and I will find it.
Okay, so let me inform the viewers that we are continuing with our reading of Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. And today we start at the beginning of chapter 4. With that brilliant introduction, I will now proceed to read. Chapter 4. Remember my party, said Peter Walsh as he stepped down the street, speaking to himself rhythmically in time with the flow of the sound, the direct, downright sound of Big Ben striking the half hour. The leaden circles dissolved in the air. Oh, these parties, he thought. Clarissa's party. Why does she give these parties, he thought. Not that he blamed her, or this effigy of a man in tall coat with a carnation in his buttonhole coming towards him. Only one person in the world could be as he was, in love. And there he was, this fortunate man himself, reflected in the plate glass window of a motor car manufacturer in Victoria Street. All India lay behind him. Plains, mountains, epidemics of cholera, a district twice as big as Ireland, decisions he had come to alone. He, Peter Walsh, who was now really for the first time in his life in love. Clarissa had grown hard, he thought, and a trifle sentimental into the bargain, he suspected. Looking at the great motor cars capable of doing, how many miles on how many gallons? For he had a turn for mechanics, had invented a plow in his district, had ordered wheelbarrows from England, but the coolies wouldn't use them. All of which Clarissa knew nothing whatever about. Next.
That would be me. Sorry.
That would be you.
The way she said, "Here is my Elizabeth," that annoyed him. Why not? "Here's Elizabeth," simply. It was insincere. And Elizabeth didn't like it either. Still, the last tremors of the great booming voice shook the air around him. The half hour, still early, only 11:30 still. For he understood young people. He liked them. There was always something cold in Clarissa, he thought. She had always, even as a girl, a sort of timidity, which in middle age becomes conventionality. And then it's all up. It's all up, he thought, looking rather drearily into the glassy depths and wondering whether by calling at that hour he had annoyed her, overcome with shame, suddenly at having been a fool, wept, been emotional, told her everything as usual, as usual. As a cloud crosses the sun, silence falls on London and falls on the mind. Effort ceases. Time flaps on the mast. Here we stop, there we stand. Rigid, the skeleton of habit alone upholds the human frame. Where there is nothing, Peter Walsh said to himself, feeling hollowed out, utterly empty within. Clarissa refused me, he thought. He stood there thinking, Clarissa refused me. Des?
Ah, said St. Margaret's, like a hostess who comes into her drawing room on the very stroke of the hour and finds her guests already there. I am not late. No, it is precisely 7:30, she says. Yet, though she is perfectly right, her voice, being the voice of the hostess, is reluctant to inflict its individuality. Some grief for the past holds it back, some concern for the present. It is 7:30, she says, and the sound of St. Margaret's glides into the recesses of the heart and buries itself in ring after ring of sound, like something alive which wants to confide itself, to disperse itself, to be, with a tremor of delight, at rest, like Clarissa herself, thought Peter Walsh, coming downstairs on the stroke of the hour in white. It is Clarissa herself, he thought, with a deep emotion and an extraordinarily clear yet puzzling recollection of her, as if this belle had come into the room years ago, where they sat at some moment of great intimacy, and had gone from one to the other, and had left, like a bee with honey, laden with the moment. But what room, what moment? And why had he been so profoundly happy when the clock was striking? Then, as the sound of St. Margaret's languished, he thought, she has been ill. And the sound expressed languor and suffering. It was her heart, he remembered, and the sudden loudness of the final stroke told for death that had surprised in the midst of life. Clarissa falling where she had stood in her drawing room. No, no, he cried, she is not dead. I am not old, he cried, marching up to Whitehall, as if there rolled down to him, vigorous, unending, his future. Next, please, Donna.
He was not old or set or dried in the least. As for caring what they said of him, the Dalloways, the Whitbreads and their set, he cared not a straw, though it was true he would have, some time or other, to see whether Richard couldn't help him to some job. Striding, staring, he glared at the statue of the Duke of Cambridge. He had been sent down from Oxford, true. He had been a socialist, in some sense a failure, true. Still, the future of civilization lies, he thought, in the hands of young men like that, of young men such as he was 30 years ago, with their love of abstract principles, getting books sent out to them all the way from London to a peak in the Himalayas, reading science, reading philosophy. The future lies in the hands of young men like that, he thought. A patter like the patter of leaves in a wood came from behind, and with it a rustling, regular, thudding sound, which, as it overtook him, drummed his thoughts. Strict in step up Whitehall, without his doing. Boys in uniform carrying guns marched with their eyes ahead of them, marched, their arms stiff, and on their faces an expression like the letters of a legend written round the base of a statue praising duty, gratitude, fidelity, love of England. It is, thought Peter Walsh, beginning to keep step with them, a very fine training, but they did not look robust. They were weedy for the most part, boys of 16 who might tomorrow stand behind bowls of rice, cakes of soup, of soap on counters. Now they wore on them, unmixed with sensual pleasure or daily preoccupations, the solemnity of the reed which they had fetched from Finsbury pavement to the empty tomb. They had taken their vow. The traffic respected it. Vans were stopped. Joe.
I can't keep up with them, Peter Walsh thought, as they marched up Whitehall, and sure enough, on they marched, past him, past everyone, in their steady way, as if one will worked legs and arms uniformly, and life, with its varieties, its eroticisms, had laid under a pavement of monuments and reeds and drugged into a stiff yet stirring corpse by discipline. One had to respect it. One might laugh, but one had to respect it, he thought. There they go, thought Peter Walsh, pausing at the edge of the pavement, and all the exalted statues, Nelson, Gordon, Havelock, the Black, the spectacular images of great soldiers stood looking ahead of them as if they too had made the same renunciation. Peter Walsh felt he too had made it the great renunciation, trampled under the same temptations, and achieved at length a marble stair. But the stair Peter Walsh did not want for himself in the least, though he could respect it in others. He could respect it in boys. They don't know the troubles of the flesh yet, he thought, as the marching boys disappeared in the direction of the Strand. All that I've been through, he thought, crossing the road and standing under Gordon's statue. Gordon, whom as a boy he had worshipped. Gordon standing lonely with one leg raised and his arms crossed. Poor Gordon, he thought. And just because nobody yet knew he was in London, except Clarissa, and the earth, after the voyage, still seemed an island to him, the strangeness of standing alone, alive, unknown, at 11:30 in Trafalgar Square overcame him. What is it? Where am I? And why, after all, does one do it? He thought. The divorce seeming all moonshine. And down his mind went flat, and down his mind went flat as a marsh, and three great emotions bowled over him: understanding, a vast philanthropy, and finally, as if the result of the others, an irrepressible, exquisite delight, as if inside his brain, by another hand, strings were pulled, shutters moved, and he, having nothing to do with it, yet stood at the opening of endless avenues, down which, if he chose, he might wander. He had not felt so young for years. Tom.
He had escaped, was utterly free, as happens in the downfall of habit, when the mind, like an unguarded flame, bows and bends and seems about to blow from its holding. I haven't felt so young for years, thought Peter, escaping, only of course for an hour or so, from being precisely what he was and feeling like a child who runs out of doors and sees as he runs his old nurse waving at the wrong window. But she's extraordinarily attractive, he thought, as, walking across Trafalgar Square in the direction of Haymarket, came a young woman who, as she passed Gordon's statue, seemed, Peter Walsh thought, susceptible as he was, to shed veil after veil until she became the very woman he always had in mind, young but stately, merry but discreet, black but enchanting. Straightening himself and stealthily fingering his pocket knife, he started after her to follow this woman. This excitement, who seemed, even with his back turned, to shed on him a light which connected them, which singled him out, as if the random uproar of the traffic had whispered through the hallowed hands his name, not Peter, but his private name, which he called himself in his own thoughts. You, she said, only you, saying it with her white gloves on her shoulders. Then the thin, long cloak which the wind stirred as she walked past Dent's shop in Cockspur Street blew out with an enveloping kindness, a mournful tenderness, as of arms that would open and take the tired. But she's not married. She's young, quite young, thought Peter. The red carnation he had seen her wear as she came across Trafalgar Square, burning again in his eyes and making her lips red. But she waited at the curbstone. There was a dignity about her. She was not worldly like Clarissa, not rich like Clarissa. Was she, he wondered as she moved, respectable? Witty, with a lizard's flickering tongue, he thought, for one must invent, must allow oneself a little diversion, a cool waiting wit, a darting wit, not noisy. Next.
She moved. She crossed. He followed her. To embarrass her was the last thing he wished. Still, if she stopped, he would say, "Come and have an ice," he would say, and she would answer perfectly simply, "Oh, yes." But other people got between them in the street, obstructing him, blotting her out. He pursued, she changed. There was color in her cheeks, mockery in her eyes. He was an adventurer, Reckless, he thought, swift, daring. Indeed, landed as he was last night from India, a romantic buccaneer, careless of all these damned proprieties. Yellow dressing gowns, pipes, fishing rods in the shop windows, and respectability and evening parties and spruce old men wearing white slips beneath their waistcoats. He was a buccaneer. On and on she went across Piccadilly and up Regent Street ahead of him, her cloak, her gloves, her shoulders combining with the fringes and the laces and the feathered boas in the windows to make the spirit of finery and whimsy which dwindled out of the shops onto the pavement as the light of a lamp goes wavering at night over hedges in the darkness. Laughing and delightful, she had crossed Oxford Street and Great Portland Street and turned down one of the little streets, and now, the great moment was approaching. For now she slackened, opened her bag, and with one look in his direction, but not at him, one look that bade farewell, summed up the whole situation and dismissed it triumphantly forever, had fitted her key, opened the door, and gone. Clarissa's voice saying, remember my party, sang in his ears. The house was one of those flat red houses with hanging flower baskets of vague impropriety. It was over. Next.
Well, I've had my fun, I've had it, he thought, looking up at the swinging baskets of pale geraniums. And it was smashed to atoms, his fun, for it was half made up, as he knew very well. Invented, this escapade with the girl, made up as one makes up the better part of life, he thought, making oneself up, making her up, creating an exquisite amusement and something more. But odd it was, and quite true, all this one could never share, is smashed to atoms. He turned, went up the street, thinking to find somewhere to sit till it was time for Lincoln's Inn. For Messrs. Hooper and Greatley, where should he go? No matter. Up the street then towards Regent's Park. His boots on the pavement struck out, no matter, for it was early, still very early. It was a splendid morning too. Like the pulse of a perfect heart, life struck straight through the streets. There was no fumbling, no hesitation. Sweeping and swerving accurately, punctually, noisily, there precisely at the right instant, the motor car stopped at the door. The girl, silk-stockinged, feathered, evanescent, but not to him particularly attractive, for he had had his fling enlightened. Admiral Butler's tawny chow dogs, horns laid in black and white lozenges, with white blinds blowing. Peter saw through the open door and approved of. A splendid achievement in its own way. After all, London, the season, civilization. Coming as he did from a respectable Anglo-Indian family, which for at least 3 generations had administered the affairs of a continent. It's strange, he thought, what a sentiment I have about that, disliking India and empire, an army as he did. There were moments when civilization, even of this sort, seemed dear to him as a personal possession. Moments of pride in England, in butlers, chow dogs, girls and their security. Ridiculous enough, still, there it is, he thought. And the doctors and men of business and capable women, all going about their business punctual, alert, robust, seemed to him wholly admirable. Good fellows, to whom one could entrust one's life. Companions in the art of living, who would see one through. What with one thing and another, the show was really very tolerable, and he would sit down in the shade and smoke. Katrina?
There was Regent's Park. As a child, he had walked in Regent's Park. Odd, he thought, how the thought of childhood keeps coming back to me. The result of seeing Clarissa, perhaps, for women live much more in the past than we do, he thought. They attach themselves to places and their fathers. A woman's always proud of her father. Bourne was a nice place, a very nice place, but I could never get on with the old man, he thought. There was quite a scene one night, an argument about something or other, what he could not remember. Politics, presumably. Yes, he remembered Regent's Park. The long straight walk, the little house where one bought air balls to the left, an absurd statue with an inscription somewhere or other. He looked for an empty seat. He did not want to be bothered, feeling a little drowsy as he did, by people asking him the time. An elderly gray nurse with a baby asleep in his perambulator. That was the best he could do for himself. Sit down at the far end of the seat by that nurse. She's a queer-looking girl, he thought, suddenly remembering Elizabeth as she came into the room and stood by her mother. Grown big, quite grown up, not exactly pretty, handsome rather, and she can't be more than 18. Probably she doesn't get on with Clarissa. There's my Elizabeth, that sort of thing. Why not say, here's Elizabeth, simply trying to make out, like most mothers, that things are what they're not. She trusts to her charm too much, he thought. She overdoes it. The rich, benignant cigar smoke eddied coolly down his throat. He puffed it out again in rings which breasted the air bravely for a moment, blue, circular. I shall try and get a word alone with Elizabeth tonight, he thought, then began to wobble into hourglass shapes and taper away. Odd shapes they take, he thought. Suddenly he closed his eyes, raised his hand with an effort, and threw away the heavy end of his cigar. A great brush swept smooth across his mind, sweeping across it moving branches, children's voices, the shuffle of feet, and people passing and humming traffic, rising and falling traffic. Down, down he sank into the plumes and feathers of sleep, sank and was muffled over. Do we want to stop, or Anna, are you
Well,
reading?
I did notice that we stopped right at the end of chapter 4. Perhaps we should talk about it for a little
Okay.
bit and then go on to 5.
Are you reading, Anna?
No, I don't think so. I can't find the place. I love listening to everybody today. Okay.
That's perfect. No,
Yeah,
that's okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we are going to be, at least what it says in my book, we'll be starting chapter 5 after this discussion.
Okay, thank you. I look for it. Thank you.
Anna, the first words you're looking for are the gray nurse resumed her knitting as Peter Walsh.
Okay.
As Peter Walsh on the hot seat beside her began snoring. So
Thank you. I'll look for it. My book is this one. It's in Every Man.
Nice. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
I have a question here on this. But halfway through what we were reading there, Tamar was reading, "Remember my party sang in his ears. The house was one of those flat red houses with hanging flower baskets of vague impropriety." What does she mean by that?
Oh, he's still in his fantasy world.
Yeah, the girl he's been following went into a house, and that's got baskets hanging on it. That's the way he describes it. That was the way I heard it. Maybe I'm all wrong.
That's the way I heard it. Yeah, he was following this girl and having this daydream fantasy. And, you know, I'm sure that the vague impropriety he notices is also the tail end of his fantasy.
But there are flowers have meaning, so it might have been a type of flower or an out of season flower.
Yeah.
Red houses with flowers. Would it have been a red district?
Well, the girl, don't forget, he described the girl as black. So, you know, it's kind of John Margaret or something. You know, this guy should be on a sex offenders register. He need to be
Potential sex offender register.
right.
Potential, yeah.
When we get to the point where we can screen out these people and
Yeah.
predict their tendencies before they do anything.
He's like Bloom, following, looking for glimpses of ankles.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought about when we the early part of this chapter when he started that thing about the woman. I thought about that scene when Bloom is looking at the woman
Oh,
and,
after
and the
Blue
carriage,
gases.
and then this other
Yes.
thing comes between him and her, and he's
Yeah.
so disappointed he didn't get to see
The
her
Grosvenor
calf.
Hotel, the Grosvenor Hotel in Harker Street.
I was thinking the exact same thing,
That's
Duncan.
interesting.
But he, instead of watching her, he called them her hams. Bloom, I think.
Well,
Big
hams are a little
hams.
bit further up. But
Yes, exactly. He was looking at her shoulders, but I was
No,
wondering.
the hams were when he followed the girl. Well, he tried to follow the neighbor from the butcher
Oh,
shop.
right, from the
Yes,
butcher
from
shop.
the butcher shop, from Dlugas.
Yeah.
But is it over? So these people are so contradictory, and I don't really like them. But is it over because of the impropriety? Is it over because she has closed her door? I mean, in a way, there seems to be this great importance of conventionality and what is proper, but there's also a great pride in, poking at what is proper and being
Yeah.
improper. So I can't really tell which one it is.
And she's taken out the key. You see, she has the key to the thing. So she opens on. She's gone. She's out of sight. What worries me is the way he keeps fingering his pocket knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even she would have been aware of phallic symbols at that point, I suspect.
I think so.
Well, this is obviously I mean, to me, this is obviously a habit he has, where he will glimpse some to him attractive woman, and then he
Yeah.
goes into this reverie about, how he's going to approach her and proposition her
Yeah.
in one form or another. But it's idle. It's idle pursuits for the most part. It's a way
But
to.
he following her, this is stalking. This preliminary stages of stalking with a knife.
Mrs. Dalloway recalls something about him being a ladies' man in India.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Well, did he not marry an Indian woman he met on the boat over?
Yeah.
Or he married a woman.
did.
It didn't say it was
Yeah.
it an
Yeah.
Indian woman?
I believe it was.
Anyway, and he was going to he was going to divorce her, and he was going to go off with some other man's
Yeah.
wife.
He's fallen in love.
Yeah, he's a serial
Homewrecker.
Slanderer?
He's a serial monogamist.
he's a serial monogamist who, when the daydream is over, whether it's following a woman down the street until she opens her door and goes inside, or until he gets married and bored with his marriage and begins looking at other women.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. The man lives on fantasy.
Yeah, shedding veil after veil as she walks. I mean, this is
Yeah.
Like
But it's
Salome.
it's privilege. It's privilege of
Yes.
a colonial power in India.
Agree.
But
And
he's
here.
just as much a victim as he is a perpetrator.
Oh yeah.
Because
how is
when that
that?
whole thing, I thought it was brilliant the way he described the English imperial philosophy and how it would affect him as a person.
Yeah.
Where he's got this whole package in his head
Yeah.
about the superiority of England.
Yeah. How we ruled a continent the size of India. I mean, I was thinking of the difference now with the privilege 100 years later of seeing how the English are now send trade ambassadors to India looking for business. You send soldiers and civil servants to rule over these inferior types.
He was no different from most other British people in how he viewed Britain's position in the world. Bit like
Right.
America now.
Right.
He has a line there. He says about Peter, the dislike as he did, disliking India and empire and army as he did.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's not. Thank you, Tom. He's not really consistent here, is he? Because on one hand, he's kind of blows hot and cold. Because on one hand, he gives the line that you talked about, and then another, he seems proud to be
Proud of moments of pride in England. Yeah. And,
Yeah.
butlers and chow. What's a chow dog? I don't know what a chow dog is.
Oh, a chow chow, which are not British. A chow chow dog it's actually a Chinese dog.
It's Chinese dog. It was
Thanks.
to
Yeah, but
protect
they
the
were a
emperor.
symbol of elitism, and that's, I mean, it's not just the imperial power here. It's the privilege of wealth
It is, yeah.
and status in, within this society. I'm
Yeah.
thinking this woman that he's watching is of a less privileged ilk. I mean, she might be
would
a
say so.
prostitute. I don't know. And, so it's easy
Well,
to
if she
take
was
advantage.
mhm.
Yeah.
If she was black in 1925 or whatever it was, I mean, it's still blacks and British are, have a lot of trouble there. And certainly in 1925, it would have been even worse.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that Peter Walsh, and this is conjecture on my part, any ambivalence that Peter Walsh has about the British Empire is only a matter of his Midland status in it all.
Yeah.
He's not he's not a top guy.
No.
He's a
And
Midland status bureaucrat, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
precarious. Carry on.
I like the way he says the coolies wouldn't use the wheelbarrows, you know.
Yeah. That's yeah. The brains are not the right weight, you see. This is the
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think he's done as well as he thought he would in India.
Yes,
No.
and that's what I was going to say. His not only is he kind of middle of the road, but he's in a precarious position because he's going to have to put the tap on Richard Dalloway for a job, if you recall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't finish college.
But there's some brilliant descriptions in these.
Oh, yeah.
I
Fantastic.
mean, this whole thing about the young boys back here, where it says, still the future of civilization lies, he thought, in the hands of young men like that,
Yeah.
of young men such as he was 30
Mm.
years ago, with their love of abstract principles, getting books sent to them all the way from London to a peak in the Himalayas. Science, reading philosophy. The future lies in the hands of young men like that, he thought. And then he goes on at the bottom, the paragraph later to really denigrate these young men, which is a habit of older people, the next generation is just not as good.
Right.
Hopefully we will survive they are weedy for the most part, boys of 16.
Yeah.
But some of this is absolutely just let me indulge myself. They are weedy for the most part, boys of 16 who might tomorrow stand behind bowls of rice, cakes of soap on counters.
Yeah.
Now they wore on them unmixed with sensual pleasure or daily preoccupations, solemnity of the wreath which they had fetched. Yeah, she can be quite devastating.
Yeah.
Is she including herself in this judgment? She's very judgmental, as are all of the characters.
You're talking. Well, we're still Peter Walsh here.
Okay, but Virginia Woolf is the author, and I can't tell if she's she seems to be making fun of people. I can't tell. Is she there is a judgment to it. I don't know if she's raising them or judging them harshly. I can't tell where where her voice is on this. Is she making fun of them, which would mean she's making fun of her own station?
I don't get a sense of humor about it.
No.
Well,
It's-
when I'm not humor, I guess she's just
Yeah.
looking down on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
I think-
questioning it, and she in one moment will question and the next minute approve,
Yeah.
disapprove. So, and I think that's Virginia's state of mind. I don't know, Tom, what you think, that
Yeah.
she's raising questions for the reader that she herself has.
Mm.
A little bit
Not-
here.
Just coming out in
Here's my Elizabeth, that sort of thing. Why not? Here's Elizabeth simply.
Mm.
And then she goes on, trying to make out, like most mothers, that things are what they're not.
Mm.
A generalization in here, which may be Peter's character, but we've had it before. Earlier, a woman's always proud of her father.
Mm.
Yeah.
It strikes me as there are generalizations coming out from nowhere, really unbased.
I would be a little kinder myself. I think the
word
the
proud.
generalizations that Virginia Woolf is putting in the mind of Peter Walsh, I think, probably hold up pretty well, because Cordelia, what is her name? What's the woman's name?
Cordelia?
So,
Clarissa.
Clarissa, thank you. I got the
Yeah.
C right.
yeah.
I thought we were going to King
She
Lear.
is a very conventional woman. She's a very conventional woman. She had her moment where she might have gone on a different path with Sally, for example.
Yeah.
But she decided to marry Richard, which, as far as I can tell, Richard is a very respectable and successful businessman.
Mm.
So she's able to enjoy all the finer material things of life, but is not completely satisfied. And her daughter is probably daughter's 18. So this is a typical time, and I'm generalizing like crazy here, a typical time when young girls are making a decision whether they're going to walk the straight and narrow, or they're going to go an unconventional path.
Was Sally Clarissa's lover?
No, there was an attraction there. As far as we know, there was an attraction there. There was never really.
There was a kiss, wasn't there?
One
think
kiss.
so.
She
It
described the
never
kiss.
developed. It never developed.
No, it developed any further, but there was a
Because
kiss that she remembers well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But she had two chances to be a little different.
Yeah.
Sally was one, two chances we know of, and Peter Walsh was another.
And Sally was the socialist, is that right? Or going after causes and taking great pride in living in, dingy quarters. Is that, am I remember?
Yeah,
I
kind
just
of
started
bohemian.
reading this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Bohemian.
Yeah, Bohemian. Thank you. Now, this was a time in England, right? Or maybe all over, where the classes were starting to get a little confused. The lines were beginning to be shaved off between the classes. Is that right? Where the upper classes were now mingling with people from the quote unquote lower classes, or the socialists, for example. Is that right? Am I getting this right? So
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And then the great stewing pot of the First World War, which brought women into factories. Can you imagine such thing as a woman working in a
The
factory?
suffragette
Good God.
movement.
And highfalutin ladies working as nurses, behind the lines, carrying
Yeah.
and things. And there's
It,
great.
it was the time of the suffragette movement was moving there at that time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And women beginning to be in uniforms and take up causes, and like Harriet Weaver wanting to go to university, not being allowed by her father.
Right. And this is in the midst of a time when
Goes to the hospital.
an incredibly high percentage of young men in Britain had been killed
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
or badly maimed during the First World War. So, you
Yeah.
know, the pickings for the ladies
Yeah.
were not real big
Yeah. And
compared to
those boys there marching in Whitehall, they are the symbols of those boys
Yeah.
who were just
Mm.
told, take that hill, and they rushed up into the machine guns,
Yeah.
you know. And then the letters home, the army regrets to tell you that, and this stuff. And a lot of people had those letters, and it was all they had of their son or father.
Hmm.
Right. That's a good point. It's a generation where a significant portion of women would not be able to get married because their prospective husbands were buried in
Yeah.
France.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tom Kettle.
Yeah.
Example, yeah. Although he was married, but it's I had an uncle who fought in the First World War.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
He recruited himself at 16 years of age into the British Army, and he survived the war. And he never spoke about it.
No.
Not once. And just a quiet man. And kind of, I was at funerals with him and things like that, and I kind of thought he was, he would tell me something someday, but he's just big silence as he went through cemeteries.
Yeah.
Probably shell shocked. Could be shell shocked after what he had experienced.
That's what I just said to myself as I grew older.
Yeah.
That I was quite old when I went to his funeral. He lived to be very old. But he saw things that this idea that the great silence descended as these men came home, they didn't speak.
Right. Well, it was a tremendous disappointment because they actually believed that the British upper classes were superior and would lead them to victory, easy victory.
Easy victory.
And I think for many of the soldiers in the First World War, they learned that there was nothing special about their leaders, and that actually the primary leaders in the British Army were selected because of social status and not because of military capability.
Yeah.
Many of them, their commissions were purchased.
Yeah.
Not at that point, Tom. I think that had you're correct. At one point, commissions were purchased, but I think there were some reforms which stopped that. However, I believe that to become an officer, you needed to go to the right school.
All that.
When you spoke and were interviewed and so forth, you needed to speak with the correct pronunciation and so forth.
Right. It's like the CIA in the United States.
Right, I'm sure.
The CIA, to become a CIA agent between the Second World War and, say, 1960, you had to be from the right schools. You had to be the right race.
The right gender.
And you had to be starry-eyed and bushy-tailed.
And not a socialist, because Peter Walsh gets sent down from Oxford for being a socialist.
Very good.
That class, that they had the phrase, as I remember it, that their sons, the first son was the heir, the second went to the army, and the third went to the church.
Oh.
Yeah, because they couldn't, the estates went to the firstborn.
Yes.
Yeah. Male.
Yep.
And going into the army, it was a family tradition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
particularly when they're going to walk into a position of authority.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a time of great, I mean, upheaval of everything, social upheaval, military upheaval, and a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
And it's translating into this book because the characters seem to go back and forth, mostly about the social
Socials. Yeah.
conventions. And, you know, do they like them? Do they hate them? Is it both? And when do they like it? And when do they not like it? Is it when it suits them, or, you know,
Yeah.
has to blend with their memories like Proust? It's a bit confusing for the readers. Well,
Yeah, it is, but it captures that time fantastically. I think of nowadays when you like the British are still trying to come to terms with this. They are very confused by a world that doesn't look up to them anymore. And they behave, they make dramatic statements about this, that, or the other. You know, the Chinese, this, that, and they wonder why the Chinese don't even reply, you know.
Yeah.
well, America's time is coming as well, you know, that
100 years they might look back at this the same way, but it's
10 years.
you know, I had
A very current example of that was their cricket
Australia.
excursion to Australia.
How did
They
they go?
actually thought that they had a very good chance of winning the Ashes, best of 5 tests, and they lost it 3-0. And they can't understand, they still can't understand themselves.
They're completely baffled by it, but a man with no eyes could see that coming. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, if you assume that you're from the superior race,
Yeah.
and you're falling on hard times, you're you're pretty much going to be disposed to blaming, as the Germans did, you know, backstabbers.
Yes.
The British were a bellicose nation, and they didn't quite realize it until they were badly beaten time and again in different wars before eventually becoming victorious. But they celebrated the victory without understanding the loss.
Yeah.
They still have this big problem. I mean, the way they were beyond being a member of the European Union,
Yeah.
out of it, and the growth of their economy has stopped for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And there's considerable talk about them rejoining. Now, the European Union went into quite some considerable turmoil when the British decided to leave. And they're not going to forget that.
No.
So the British are
Well,
going
and
to have a
the
very
British are,
difficult time.
right. The British are not going to vote to go back into the European Union.
Well, I don't know about that, Duncan. Now, there's a considerable movement, even trying to get, what's his name, Keir Starmer, to change his opinion. There's considerable pressure on him.
Well, okay, but I hear that the incredible, who is that lunatic on the right?
Farage? Nigel
Farage.
Farage?
No.
There's considerable discussion about that Farage is very likely to become the next prime minister.
Correct.
Yeah, could
It's
happen.
going to happen. No.
But
He
you know,
can't
I
get it
think
without.
I think the Brits are showing in spades the problem with being racist.
Well,
Yes, very
yeah.
much so, yes. But Farage cannot become prime minister without a coalition government, and it would be nearly impossible for him to
I
form a
hope you're
coalition
right.
government.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. Well, anything could really happen there. It's like but it's a death spiral. mean, basically, it's like people saying Trump could never become president, you know.
Right.
I mean, that was clearly what everyone thought, and it could easily happen. But you know, they're talking about preparing for war with Russia, and all this sort of stuff, and they haven't got the manpower to raise an army without taking in, dare we say it, foreigners. And I don't just mean Irish people, you know, like, because they regard us as themselves now. But like they can't raise the numbers to fight a battle.
Right. Right.
And yet they're talking about preparing for war with Russia.
Mm-hmm. So
One of the reasons
we
they
are
want
very
to-
familiar. We are very familiar, actually, with what's going on in Mrs. Dalloway
Yeah.
and Peter
Yeah.
Walsh,
Yeah.
and the ambivalencies and confusions, and you know.
Oh yeah, it is. This is a perspective on today. It's where today came from. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's like, you know.
Yeah, Peter Walsh's disappointment or whatever in the empire, and yet proud of the empire.
Oh yes.
He cannot get his head around the fact, you know, that the empire is dying, gone.
It's fantastic language. I love this sentence. And the doctors and men of business and capable women, all going about their business, punctual, alert, robust, seem to him wholly admirable, good fellows to whom one would entrust one's life.
There you go.
This is Nigel Farage.
Yes, it is. It is.
Tom, Tom Kennedy, Tom, I put something in the chat for you.
Okay, I'll have a look.
I understood that Britain's withdrawal from the European Common Market was in large part because they didn't want the immigration of people.
Yes, it was partially that. Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been an important factor,
Yep.
Yeah.
though
I
covered
think-
up.
Yeah, I think essentially it was British pride. They were not able to control, particularly in the legislation coming through the European Parliament. They just didn't have the numbers. They couldn't control it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was the people in power who had the ability to deal with it,
Yeah.
didn't know how. They just couldn't. They didn't have the overall ability to cope with this stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is the same thing. I call them a bellicose nation, but they're very, very proud people.
Well, and they're very given to fantasy too. I mean, I think the parallelism between Peter Walsh pursuing the fantasy black woman on the street up to the point where she unlocks her door and goes inside and shuts the door on him. Is very parallel to the British fantasy that they are going to regain the empire and their status in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Because in a way, what's happened in Britain is that the empire has taken over Britain. They've gone around saying they're saying that thing about businessmen, doctors, everything in London is so wonderful, and the whole bloody empire wants to get into London and has done so. And this is bringing them down. And yet they can't stop it because the economy depends on them. So it's.
You have to turn on your microphone tomorrow.
Are there any Britons among us, or are we just Irish and Americans? I'm
I'm not
closest.
American. I'm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I share the continent with you, but I'm not.
Okay, you're Canadian, but there are no Britons among us,
Not
right?
the 51st state.
I am entitled to British citizenship. I'm entitled to a British passport.
And is that by virtue of being born prior to 47?
By virtue of being born prior to 49.
49, I stand corrected.
Okay.
It's-
I'm
I'm American with an Irish citizenship. I'm dual citizen.
Huh.
So
And
I'm
that
about
comes, as you can apply, my mother was from Ireland, from Mayo, and then from her to her children and grandchildren, we can apply for Irish citizenship.
we have been I can't remember the figures, but it's a multiple of hundreds of percent increase in applications for Irish citizenship from people from the neighboring island of England mainly.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So the
oh
movement
no.
is okay.
They want to get back into the EU, they need an Irish passport, you know, because they have to go to the red line in Europe, whereas you go to the green line if you've an Irish passport. So they're
Quite
rediscovering
a number of those also came from the nationalist tradition in Northern Ireland.
nationalist
They
tradition.
wanted a Republican passport to be able to get into Europe so easily, and they were entitled to it. They still are entitled to it.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe there was a British perspective to what we've been discussing, because we're all kind of outsiders.
That's right.
What
talking
are you
about
saying that my Scot-Irish background might prejudice me?
Oh, not a wee bit.
I guess I'd be the closest because we're part of the Commonwealth.
Oh, you are, but
Nation.
Canadian is
I
so
would
different
simply
than
add
British.
that it's
Uh-huh.
convenient that that Virginia Woolf has Peter walk by the statues of Nelson, Gordon, and Havelock. Just coincidentally, these symbols of empire.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Who all died in Saddle.
Oh,
I would point out as well.
and who was Gordon? Who was Gordon?
Gordon was at the siege of Khartoum, and he was, I believe, killed there.
Oh, Egypt.
Havelock, I think, met his end during the Indian Mutiny, and then Nelson, of course, at Trafalgar.
Okay.
you know, it feels a little bit also like Ulysses. There seems to be this love affair with London, and that perhaps you could almost get a map of London. I don't know. I haven't read enough yet. Get a map of London from watching where people walk and what they pass in this book. Although not necessarily, there aren't the names of stores and things like that. But it seems like London is another character in the book.
Yes.
Well, I have a book on walks in London that come from Mrs. Dalloway's walks.
Ah,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and
okay.
all the stores along the way, and the relationship to the river and to the Westminster and all. And it's a biography of her by a granddaughter. But it's okay. So the perspective is how geography and place are part of the book of Mrs. Dalloway.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have the title of that book by any chance?
You know what? It's like it's right here because I've been reading it.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, I definitely put it in the chat and show it to you.
Okay.
Maybe I have it in the next room, but I'll be right back then.
Well,
Some of you might want to check your books because mine actually has a map in it.
Mine does as well.
Oh.
Yeah, mine does as well.
There you are.
And this just dropped yesterday in the mail. Well, somebody had to bring it in because my mailbox is 2 miles away, but it's edited by Francine Prose. And it's not just Virginia Woolf's writings, it's writings about Virginia Woolf. Francine Prose, I love her writing. She did Household Saints and a few other things, but I'm going to dive into that and see if there's a section here called Mrs. Dalloway's Party. And yeah, is that the name of the chapter in your book? I don't have chapters in my book.
I don't have chapters either.
Yeah.
I have chapters, but they're just numbers.
Yeah. So there are various writers writing about Virginia Woolf and writing about her book. So I'm looking forward to digging into that.
Her writing is luminous.
Yeah, and I think about London, the parks, she's really good. And the way she must have walked through them loads of times. And she sets the scenes, that scene before with Septimus in the park.
Yes.
And now you have Peter Wright in the park falling asleep or whatever. So, and it gives you an airiness about the whole place. as well as the streets. But London is a great place to walk about because you're always near to something.
Mhm.
And it's so full, compacted with history of all kinds. Yeah,
Mhm.
literary and
Yeah.
obviously military, but literary as well. There are great walks where you can go on, the blue plaques on the houses where people lived in and that. And yeah, but she gives that sense of airiness as well,
She
of
does.
being out in the air and kind of,
Mm.
walking around. Yeah, it's good.
And she's looking out at Regency Park, struck
Yeah,
me, and talking about how the leaves, I think she used the word luminous for the leaves, and how
yeah,
maybe, the breeze or whatever, like waves, she says waves twice, waves, kissing the beach or something. I'm paraphrasing. And then after that, she says that she feels this sudden sense of gloom descend on her, and which just is such contrast to the airiness and beauty and lightness of
yeah,
the park.
yeah.
Yeah. She's having mood.
Here's the book. Here's the book that
so
I was talking about. It's
Excuse
Virginia
me.
Woolf, Life in London, a biography of place.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
And then let me show you. It goes by all the places where she lived. So this would be
Good.
the number of the homes they lived in London. And then her maps are like this, where you can walk and everything is named on the
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a lovely book.
And I think this is Vanessa's granddaughter that's writing the story, the sisters.
Life.
And there's a lot in here about Virginia Woolf's mental state
yeah,
throughout life. Like she really was suicidal or depressive, and
yeah,
she just couldn't. It was a disorder that was beyond medication or psychological counseling. It was.
yeah,
Yeah, I think though that, well, this is just exposing my own prejudice, but I think that particular periods of time and history, the politics really does impact the psychological health of the populace. It's just like,
Well, I go along with you in terms of what's happening in America.
yeah, there's
I mean,
there's the
it's so.
bizarre things going on right now. It's unbelievable. Almost every day I learn about some well-established new group of people whose psychological state is very suspect,
Mhm.
just coming unglued. Anyway,
But it
but
makes no
life in
never
London.
mind that ups. It makes no never mind. People don't seem to care. That's what there is no sense, at least at this time in England, there was a sense of some sort of propriety, and civility, but that's gone. Maybe that's what America's always been known for. I'm
Well,
not sure.
Trump is just he stacks the boards of anything he wants, and then they vote for him and to do what he wants, which
Yeah.
is the most recent one is the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. Trump is placing his name on the building above Kennedy.
Yeah.
Right. I think this is wonderful, frankly, in the sense that uh, every day he is alienating more and more people from his style of politics and his administration.
But it's like it's one day, you don't know about it until the day of the posting of the signage on the building. It's like there's no
Right. Well,
process,
that's
no
what makes it
proposal,
right.
nothing to prepare you for this. It just is one
Yeah.
day, and it wasn't the day before.
Okay. Well, I'm taking bets
On
on the change of government in November of 2026. I'm
Oh,
taking
no,
bets.
I'm feeling optimistic. I'm still getting my Austrian citizenship. I'm a sneeze away, not to move to Austria. But I'm thinking I may not need to leave. So I'm with you, Duncan.
Yeah, that's good. And you know, really the Irish should be praying because if things go contrary to what I think, they may have to put up with me for a long time.
Yeah, I kind of understand. I know. Sorry, I'm not in America. I shouldn't comment. I'll say nothing. Say nothing. But going back to the point about renaming the Kennedy Center, so you know that Keats's poem Ozymandias.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Yeah, yeah.
Sea mighty and despair around from the lone and what is the lone
Sands stretch
sands
far away. Yeah,
The,
Around the decay of that colossal wreck.
yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Those it's a sonnet, 14 lines.
Yeah.
He obviously hasn't read it.
Oh God, he can't even read, they say.
Well, I think you've heard the joke that this is what there is being talked about concerning Palantir, Peter Thiel company, where it was pointed out that obviously either Peter Thiel has never read Tolkien or he never really understood Palantir, because Palantir is like picking the worst possible name
Right.
for your corporation.
Folks, I'm going to have to leave. My friend is here with lunch and even more important, drugs.
Oh, good. All right. Well,
So this was lovely. I'll look forward to being back next week, right?
Okay.
yes. Yes,
Okay.
we will be pursuing on.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you
for
all for
joining
letting
us.
me join you. This was just
care.
terrific.
Okay,
thank
enjoy
Okay.
lunch and enjoy the entertainments afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Bye, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Are we going to start with the green note? So next week, I'll ask Dave Little, who's normally together.
Okay, and so that's on page. Okay, I just have to find it here. I'm sorry.
The gray nurse.
So yes, do you want me to mark that for next week then? The gray nurse resumed her knitting.
I was just going to put into my diary.
Yeah.
Okay, here we are. The green pen has marked it.
Are we
Okay.
doing any special reading over the
Oh,
holidays?
good point, Katrina. Good point.
So I'm looking at my calendar, and the next probable meeting would be Monday the 29th. Now,
That's-
with for some of you are in other groups, and I know that we've kind of put Dante and Ulysses and come on, the Shakespeare, the Tempest on hold.
Tempest.
Because they fall right in around Christmas and New Year's Day. Now, for
Mhm.
this one, it's the 29th, and some of us may be more available on that one because it's not sandwiched right up against those 2 days. I'm just wondering how people feel.
29th is fine for me, and I will open
it's fine for
the
me.
room no matter what.
Okay,
And
Okay.
if once the room is open and a few minutes have passed, if we don't have what I consider a quorum,
okay,
we would have a nice discussion about any number
Christmas.
of things.
okay.
And
But
if
but
we-
I'm hearing you say, Duncan, that at least for this, we're not going to make a decision to put it on hold. Let's just see who shows up next Monday. How many of us
Yeah.
show up next Monday?
Yeah,
Okay,
Mhm.
that'd be fine with me.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. I need my little house well, first of all, I need my little time, what do you call it? The things that keep me aware of time.
Yeah.
Appointments.
If I don't have my Kindles, my Zooms, it's amazing how quickly I forget what day it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I basically have an unhappy home life, so I'm available for anyone who ever wants to. Nothing happens to me if this does. If
Well,
these,
on Christmas Day, I'm going to try an experiment and see what happens, which is I am going to open up the Ulysses reading, and whatever happens there happens. But I'm also opening up the Aging Solo Zoom Christmas
Yeah.
meeting,
yeah.
which I've announced in the group on Facebook. I have no idea. No one may show up, but I
I'd be-
told them that the room is open. from 9 in the morning till 8 in the evening, except for the fact that there are 2 hours between the hours of, our usual Ulysses things when I will be unavailable. We'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I hope everybody
Okay.
is proceeding in an orderly and entertaining manner towards the holidays, whatever
Happy
form
Christmas.
they are.
Yes,
Happy-
yes.
Merry
Happy
Christmas
Have a good
to you all.
Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah,
Everybody.
and I think we talked about portrait, but I don't even remember. We talked about the dinner,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
dinner chapter, but I don't think we ever nailed anything
No. And the dead?
down. And the dead, well, we have 9 people here, and when we still have 4 minutes, so it's real simple. On
Good night.
Do we want to read the dinner? I'm always ready to read the dinner myself. And if we do, when do we want to read the dinner? So that's
What are you
question.
talking about, the dinner?
It's
The
in
dinner
portrait.
scene in Portrait of an Artist with
Oh,
Mrs.
okay, the opening,
Riordan
yeah,
and
the Christmas table, yeah. I know.
Dante and Simon and
Yeah.
who's the other one, Tom? Who's the other one? There are 3 of them.
Charles. There's a Charles, I believe.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know what is this. What are you? I'm lost there.
Sorry,
What you talk-
it's the Christmas dinner scene fairly early on in a portrait where there's
Oh,
a
right.
big
Was
argument
his
about
name?
Parnell.
Oh, yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
was it
yeah.
something Casey or something like that?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that's
Casey.
it. I think that's it. Casey,
He-
Simon Dedalus, and on in one corner, and Dante
And-
or
Yeah,
Mrs. O'Riordan in the other.
Dante.
yeah, and they're up, Parnell is the issue.
And Parnell
Yeah.
is hugely the issue, but then it becomes, as arguments sort of degenerate, it becomes an issue about the power of the church.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
I
right.
had 8 dead readings last year. I had my first dead reading today. Every group I'm in wants to read the dead.
Ah,
Performance of the dead, which is we think you don't suffer from in America, but there's a terrific live performance of the dead. It's just stunning in immersive theatre. And everyone I know is going to it. People are offering me tickets and all this sort of thing, and I'm not able to go. But so if we are reading the dead, sure, what's another reading of the dead? Let's do it,
so do you want to read the dead next week instead of this, or
No,
are we going? Are we going to
No.
pick a different night? Or
well, the opening, the dinner is great. That's, well, I don't, either one is
Okay,
fine.
if it was one or the other, I like both of them, but I
Yeah.
prefer the dinner.
To
okay,
the dead.
You get through the dinner in one reading, the dead takes 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Let's okay, but we still got the problem that next week on Thursday is Christmas Day, and then the week after that is Christmas Eve.
Or New Year's Eve.
Let me just have
New
a
Year's
showing
Day.
of hands.
no, it's New Year's Day, isn't it?
Is it New Year's Day?
yeah,
Yeah.
a week after
Yeah,
Christmas.
New
is
Year's
New Year's.
Day is always on the same day as Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's how I cheat too, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Took a
looking
long
just to
time.
clarify. I'm looking to clarify it, but yeah,
It took a long time to realize that, but that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, I'm available for both.
Okay.
Personally, and you don't even have to make a decision, but we may want to decide if we're going to read portrait. How many? Okay, let me just put it this way. Raise your hand if you think there's at least a 50-50 chance that you would be available on New Year's Day for a reading of the Christmas dinner from Portrait of an Artist.
I'm not
That's-
sure, just not sure.
That's the first. That's the 1st of January.
First
yeah.
of January.
Yeah, and we might have
Yeah,
out-of-town
yeah.
company.
Right.
Yeah.
So
could do that.
probably, Anna, you'd be a 50-50 like me.
Yeah, if I
That
don't,
might
if the
be-
company leaves early, I'll be in on the reading.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that on New Year's Day, we will see who shows up
Yeah.
and that we will read the dinner scene and Portrait of an Artist.
Great.
Excellent.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
And then if we want to do a reading of the dead another time, we can talk about that.
Well, the dead actually takes place in early January, right? What is the
January
date?
6th, I believe.
Right.
Yes.
So
Epiphany.
Yeah, that's when it should be.
do it the next week.
Yeah.
Or
Why not?
Okay. Well, thank you
Thursday,
all.
March
Whatever you
22nd.
whatever you do,
Which is a Tuesday.
to celebrate the solstice or Christmas, or maybe you're a multi-holiday person where you're doing all of the above plus more.
Mhm.
Enjoy it.
Okay. Happy Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy
Christmas.
holidays, everybody.
happy